Hello, this is wmpyr. I just flew back from LA. Just got in, and yeah, it was pretty much breakneck speed. So I apologize that I haven't made a video in a while. I'm under the weather and everything. Um, I was just so busy, but I want to make up for that, and I want to do something helpful for you guys. Okay, so. If you've been studying my YouTube Vampire channel and you want to kind of have an idea of how to do this stuff, right? You know, basically there's bunch of videos, random videos, and that's fine. Find one that clicks, makes sense to you. But the main idea here falls into three areas. Number one, obviously you need to memorize the material. You need to memorize it and practice it, okay? So it's almost like, if someone asks you, okay, what have you been doing? You have to show it to them. So if you're going to show it to them, you have to know it, right? So in order to know it, and by know it, I don't mean like know it really like the back of your hand and master it. No, I mean know it as in, here, let me demonstrate it. I can show you what I've been doing. So in order to do that, you have to memorize it. You have to put in some practice, okay? So that's number one. It's just common sense. Number two is next you have to drill it. Drill it means you have to do it over and over and over and over. You know, this is the discipline. This is the dedication, okay? So you got to drill it. Number three is next you got to test it. Okay, you got to test it out. See if this stuff works, you know? It's not that does it work or not work, but what you learned, you're making it work for you. That's what I mean by testing it. You know what I mean? So you test it and it doesn't work. You don't go, oh, the technique doesn't work. No. What does a scientist do? A scientist, it doesn't work, so then they change their hypothesis and they do more experiments and they work at it. So it's a developmental process. It's a progression. So that's what you need to do. So you need to modify it to fit you and then keep working at it. So when I say does it work or not work, it sounds a little bit like the cliche, oh, it doesn't work, so throw the technique away. That's not what I mean, okay? So you test it out and then you see what kind of modifications you need to make it better work for you. Right? So those are the three steps. Very easy. And actually, those three steps are quite vague. So the way you test it can depend from individual to individual. The way I test it could be different from the way you test it. The material you choose, because I have like, maybe by now it's over 2,000 videos. I'm not even sure, but maybe I have over 2,000 videos on YouTube. So, pick any one of those and put it through those three process that I said right now, which is the memorize practice, and then the drill, and then the testing. So you do those three processes over and over again. And let me give you an example. So let's say the angles of attack, right, which I demonstrate a lot. The angles of attack, so first you got to memorize it. There's a lot of different ones, so pick one. Memorize it, put in the practice, right? And then when you drill it, you could like drill it, you might drill it in the air, or you might drill it on an old couch and you might beat up on the couch, or maybe for practice, check this out. You might use a lighter stick like this. So this is how you memorize and practice with this lighter stick. But then when you drill it, you use a heavier stick and you do the same move, over and over and over. When you're first memorizing it, you don't want to use a heavier stick because it's harder. So you might for the first initial, you use a lighter stick. So you see the difference right there in part one and part two. And then part three is the testing. The testing might be, you might go to the yard, you might wet your hands, and then do it like that and see, can your grip still hold on? So that's a test for you to where you could work a better, stronger grip, even when your hand's wet with blood or sweat because of the stress and the pressure, or it just might be raining, whatever. But that makes it a little bit more realistic, makes it a little harder, more challenging. So that might be your test right there. And then you could do that same process again and again. You might test it in different ways. You might test it on a tire swinging from a branch, a tree branch, or you might test it by going, full contact with somebody. There's different ways to do it. But that's why this is martial art, because it's really up to you. There's so many different ways. For test, like I said, you may do Heaven 6. Let's say Heaven 6. So first you got to memorize it and practice it so that you could, if someone said, show me Heaven 6, you could do it. You could show it to them. Okay, this is the Heaven 6. This is what I work on. Okay. And next you got to drill it. So when you drill it, one of the things that you can do with the Heaven 6 is you might try to go much, much faster. So when you're just trying to memorize it and practice it, you go and you try to be smooth. But then when you drill it, you try to do fast and hard. Boom, 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 And now, number 3 is test it. How do you test it? And so the Heaven 6, you could test it by, maybe in your backyard you have some, trees, branches. You might have something like that, weeds and stuff you want to get rid of. So you might do it with a machete. Be careful, but that might be your testing part, or you might use a knife. So there's different ways to do 1, 2, and 3. So I hope that makes sense with you guys. Now, this is the path of solo training. This is what I'm trying to help you guys with here on my YouTube channel. I'm interested in solo training, because it's so easy to go on YouTube and find martial arts instructors and they're teaching you moves and they have a training partner, and then you're like, that looks great, but how do I practice that at home? You can't, because it's hard to find training partners. So this is about solo training. So if it's about solo training, like I said, those 3 steps, but the one thing that's so important is the attitude, the mindset, right? Is you don't want to have the attitude or the mindset that you're good enough, or that, hey, that was pretty awesome, or I'm good. That in martial arts, it's like that's like the wrong mindset. In martial arts, it's like I'm never good enough, and I'm not saying that to be a negative person or to put myself down. It's just the process is infinite, so it's a never-ending. Improvement is never-ending. So the potential to be, to keep going and going and going is forever. So if that's the case, then yeah, you're never good enough. It's not I'm never good enough because I suck and I'm bad, and it's not a negative thing. So that's kind of weird for a lot of people, but that's the mentality to have. Now look, because how good you are, and I've had students ask me all the time, they're like, was that good? Am I good? And I'm kind of like, that's the wrong question to ask me, because how good you are depends on, that's really relative, okay? So if a beginner watches me, do the stuff, double stick, single stick, knife, or whatever, they look at me and they go, wmpyr, you're really awesome. Yeah, maybe to a beginner, but then you get a Filipino martial arts guy who's been doing it twice as long as I have. I've been doing it 20 plus years, so we get a guy that's been doing it 40 plus years. They look at me and they go, well, you're a baby. So it's relative. It just depends on who's looking at you, So then it really doesn't matter. The good, are you really good or not good? That doesn't matter. What matters is you keep getting better. You keep working on yourself. And in order to do that, I tend to notice that the people who compare themselves with crappy, so you compare yourself with someone that's not good and you go, yeah, well, I'm better than him. They don't tend to become better. They don't tend to grow as much because they go, hey, I'm all right. I'm better than that dude. I'm better than this person. They're always comparing, and they feel safe that way. So it doesn't push them to grow as much. But if you compare yourself with someone that's above you and you're always trying to reach it, maybe not so far above that it's too far away, but someone that's right above you and you go, you know what? I could do that too. I need to put in the time and work and I could get there. Those are the people that tend to move up and up and up and up. You know, you keep comparing yourself with better. So that idea, that philosophy works with dieting, exercising. I believe, you know, so watch. You'll notice people in your circles, they'll fall into one of those two mentalities. One is like, I'm better than this person, I'm better than, they're always comparing themselves with lower. They don't tend to improve much, okay? So I'm not saying every time, but I tend to notice that. So might as well pick the one where you're always comparing yourself with better. What can I do to become better? What can I do to go to the next level, you know? So that's just a mentality thing. So anyway, that's it for now. Happy to be back. Thank you for watching, and take care, folks.